and welcome everybody to day 3 of dealing with health and anxiety. And I've got a teenager walking in. I'm on Facebook Live, by the way. If you come in, you'll be on the screen. Please shut the door. Okay, so we're looking at dealing with let's say we were looking at dealing with your thoughts and emotions, but today we are going to jump into fear is spreading faster than COVID-19. How to deal with the fear. Hello, Justine. Hello, Jessica. Good to see you online. Who else have we got here? Laura. Oh, fabulous. Hi, guys. So I'm just saying that what we're going to be covering today is about fear, the famous fear. And goodness me, right now, in this current time, hi, Jonathan, fear is massive. It's almost like you can feel it when you go outside your door. And so today I want to talk to you about how you deal with the fear and how you can cope with moving forward through this period of time. Oh, thanks for the likes. Hi, Rachel. Are you liking me sporting my 80s hairstyle look tonight? It's because my hair needs washing. Anyway, so I'm going to dive straight in tonight. And what we're going to look at first of all is what fear actually is. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how it makes you feel, the fact that it's spreading so fast and what you can do to deal with it, and then I'm going to give you an antidote. So very to the point this evening, because I'm sure that if you haven't been affected with the COVID-19 that's going on right now personally, then you definitely will know somebody who's incredibly worried, feeling very scared, feeling very fearful. So let me give you some really good stuff tonight so that you can action that straight away. Oh, loving the love, loving the likes. Thanks, guys. Catherine. Hi, Sheila. Hi, Helen. So let's dive in. Fear. Basically, fear is a natural emotion that we create in the body. And it has been set up it's a program within us that basically tells us when we're under threat. And as much as fear feels like a nightmare, the physical response or the physical emotion of it is actually quite handy from time to time because it tells us that there's something that we need to address. The problem with what's going on currently and right now is not the fact that people will get the fear response in their experience, it's how we deal with it. That's the problem. It's not fear itself, it's part of the mechanics of you being a human being. It's nothing you can ever get away with. You're always going to experience fear from time to time, but the big problem is if you don't know how to change your relationship to it and deal with it so it stops being a prolonged experience. So, fear. I once heard fear being called false evidence appearing real. What does that mean? Well, basically, as you can probably imagine, if you're not already experiencing it yourself, you probably know lots of people that are experiencing this right now. When we are fed information by the media, by TV, whatever it might be, and there's no real definite outcome, so that's currently what's going on, the mind latches onto the information and runs havoc with it. And it takes it into a future moment and starts fantasizing, using your imagination basically in a negative way to come up with a million ideas and outcomes. The problem with that is that all the concepts and ideas that the mind comes up with are not actually real. They're based on bits of information that we grab from media, maybe from speaking to friends, perhaps from social media, perhaps the news, and we piece it together in our minds and then we create an elaborate story in a future moment. And one of the things I want you to become really aware of is that all the times that you are feeling fear, that you're in that experience of feeling out of control, it's never in this moment now. It's always your mind that's taking you out of this moment now and projected you into a future what if. And if your mind or your thoughts start off with the phrase, what if? Then you need to make sure that you realise that as a massive alarm bell that your mind is trying to drag you into a future moment and create a huge amount of fear in your experience. A what if statement or sentence is always something that is based on illusion. It's not real. So what I mean by that is it will grab information, your mind, it will project you into a future moment, let's say 3 months time, let's say it's a year's time, let's say it's next week's time, And let's face it, it's the first week that parents are at home working with children this week. It's the first week we've been in lockdown. You know, statistics of death, statistics of illness are just everywhere. And it can seem incredibly scary because the mind will grab it and then create an elaborate story on that bit of information projected into your future. What that then does is it creates a chemical reaction in your body, which makes you feel like scared, overwhelmed, fearful, and all of the above, right? So the reason why this has been happening a lot recently is collectively there is a lot of talk about it, and so it's really difficult to get away from it. But I have a news flash for you, so get ready. We have no control over what is going to be presented to us on our planet, right? So we've got no control over the COVID-19. It just happened, right? Or however it's happened, it's now happening in our reality. We have no control over that. But listen to this. And this is really, really, really important. So if you don't take anything away this evening, please take this away. Write it down, imprint it in your brain so you remember this. You have total control over your inner world. And what I mean by that is that you have total control over the meaning you give things. Right, I'm going to say that again. So, you don't have any control over COVID-19, fair enough, right? You don't have control if it's going to snow in the next 5 minutes. We have no control over that. But we have total control over the meaning we give things. The problem is that most of us are giving meaning to things that are not factual. We are giving meaning to things that are worse than what they are. They're not actual factual to what they are. And that's because the egoic mind has been programmed to look for problems. It's not the enemy, it's how it operates. And so it will grab, especially in a time like now, millions of bits of information and make it a million times worse. Now, let me get clear about this. Of course, we are in a period of time where there is some physical actions that we must take, like obviously being in isolation, being in lockdown, making sure that we're being more clean and washing our hands more and more conscious of other people, etc., etc. We know that, right? We're not daft. We know that that's what we need to do right now. However, the most important part of dealing with fear is not the action part. I'm sure you're all doing that, and I'm sure you're all getting into a rhythm with it and dealing with that quite easily. The big factor here is what you're dealing with inside. And this is the part that I want to focus on this evening, because the whole thing of taking the actions and doing things is absolutely fine. However, if you're letting your mind go into future moments continuously and recreate the worst case outcomes, this period of time is going to be a stratospheric nightmare for you, because what it will do is it will put the body into a stressful state, which will only lead to your immune system being switched off, and ultimately, whether it's coronavirus or whether it's like a cold or a flu or whether it's tonsillitis, whatever it may be, you're more susceptible and likely to catch it because your immune system's not on. So it's more important right now that we watch where our mind is going than any other time, because the more that you become consciously aware that you have a choice over where you put your attention, the easier this is going to be. So the news flash, remember, is you have total control over the meaning you give things. Now, one of the things I do want to highlight is one of the positive things, and I was thinking about this earlier today when I was taking the dog for a walk, is how amazing is it that we are going to take some time out tomorrow and thank all the frontline people, all the nurses, all the doctors for all the incredible work they're doing right now. But isn't it a shame that it's taken this for us to recognise how many wonderful light workers there already are on this planet? Because these people may be dealing with the COVID-19 and dealing with that, but they're dealing with stuff like this actually all the time. It's just that it's not given to us, the information, and so it kind of gets lost, really. And I was thinking about, like, yeah, my goodness, like, this is amazing what they're doing, but actually what they do continuously is amazing. And so yeah, fantastic that we're going to like celebrate and give them the praise that they really deserve. But actually, what I was thinking about was, wouldn't it be nice if after we leave this period of time that we shift ourselves into that state of a doctors and nurses, but all the other amazing humans on this planet, the teachers, the care workers, the dentists, the doctors, you know, whoever you are out there, everybody's doing their bit. And it's really unfortunate that what we've kind of lost is in our time is we've flipped things and we've got so focused on what's wrong that we've forgotten to appreciate what's actually amazing in human beings and each other. So I was just thinking how wonderful we're going to do this tomorrow, but let's not stop once we get through this period. Let's change our mindsets and start being more appreciative of each other, because you know what? Human beings are incredible, and there's so many amazing warriors out there, including you guys watching this right now. And it starts by us becoming the change that is so much needed on this planet. And the change that's needed on this planet is an expansion of unconditional love. It's an expansion of appreciation and gratitude. And that starts by us taking those tiny little steps to go, yeah, tomorrow let's say thanks to the doctors and nurses and all the frontline people, but let's continue to do that. Whether it's somebody at the corner shop or whether it's somebody who's working in the health profession, who cares? Everybody does their bit, but let's start looking for appreciation. What that does is it's an antidote to fear. So appreciation completely shifts your vibration into the opposite state of fear. Because what fear does is it downward spirals us into a dialogue of negativity, a dialogue of like despair and what ifs and fear and frightening kind of experiences. Appreciation expands our vibration into an upward spiraling state of total and utter unconditional love. And if I was to ask you which way would you rather live, from a place of unconditional love or fear, well, it's not rocket science. I know what you're going to say. So this starts by us taking the conscious choice to decide where we're going to put our attention. So if you're up for doing that from this moment forward, then give me a thumbs up. Okay, so fear is basically us using our imagination in a negative way. And so one of the first things we have to do is we have to just, once we realise that we're going off into a dialogue, into a what if, into like a future moment where we're piecing lots of things together, the first thing we need to do is stop, right? Just stop. And once you stop, you can then make a different choice. And this is the power that you have. You have a choice in every moment to decide where you put your attention. And one of the things I recommend you do right now is, of course, maybe once a day, check in online, check in on the news to find out what's going on. But don't become obsessed with it, because what happens is we then again get sucked into that energy, and that is more likely to shift our mind and our thought patterns into a downward spiraling state. I actually did a bit of research before this evening just to look at the stats online about what's going on with COVID-19 and actually other illnesses. And there's about 20,000 deaths globally right now with COVID-19, but there's 23,000 deaths this season from flu in the United States alone already this year. And I'm only sharing that information because obviously we don't know what's going to happen with COVID-19 and we don't know where it's going to spiral. However, one of the things that Tony Robbins taught me was see things as they are, not worse than they are. And all we've got is this moment now. Now, I don't know how it's going to end up in a year's time. I have no idea. But in this moment now is the place that you need to focus your energy, because the what ifs of your life, the trying to work things out from this space now in 3-6 months time when we have no idea what's going to be presented to us in the next week, never mind the next 3 months, is a pointless exercise. And if you think about all the things that you've been fearful of in the past, let's say it might be a new job, it might be public speaking, it might be doing a Facebook Live, it might be your health for other health issues, it might be a relationship breakdown, whatever it might be, the things that you've been fearful in the past about. And you just think about one thing where you were really, really fearful of it before it happened, and then you actually went through with the event. How many times, once you actually got through the other side of the event, was it actually not as bad as what your mind had made it out to be? Probably every time. In my experience, I know that's true, because the mind will always make it 10 million times worse. In your mind, you'll be bankrupt, you'll be dead, you'll be like, all sorts of things will be going on, right? Because that's what the mind does. Now, again, coming back to the actual health checks, of course you've still got to take the actions that the government have told us to do, but as far as your mind goes, it's so important that you put that as a priority too, because only you are the driver of your experience. Okay, so one of the questions I want you to write down is, as you're going through this next few weeks, one of the things I would love you to ask yourself is, what is the story that I am telling myself about this fearful commentary, whatever it might be that you're fixated on? So let's say it's your health. Let's say it's fine. I mean, there's lots of things that are going on. People are worried about money. They're worried about their kids. They're worried about finances. They're worried about the illness. So there's lots of common things flooding around, right? Let's take finances. Let's say you're really scared about money right now. The question you would ask yourself is, what is the story you have told yourself about finances right now? Now, probably what you will have done, if you're coming from a place of fear, it'll be the worst case outcome. Your mind will have attached to, like, everything's going to go wrong. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose everything. Because it's a bit of a drama queen, is the mind. It is. It's a little bit of a drama queen. Okay, so let's say that that's the situation for you. That's what your mind's done. What I want you to come back and ask yourself after the story is this actually factual in this moment now? Now, maybe that is one possibility that could happen, that you end up losing your house because you can't work and because of the COVID-19. Maybe that's one possibility. But let's look at other possibilities that could also be an outcome. And the reason why I get you to do this is because what I want you to start realising is that there is always a multiple of different outcomes to every situation and scenario. But what the mind will do is it will latch on to the most negative thing. In fact, I was thinking about this as well today. Like, if you think about, you are at work or you're with some friends and 10 people say 10 wonderful things about you and one person says something a bit critical. Which is the thing that you remember or you fixate on most? It's like the critical part, isn't it? It's just crazy and nuts, you know? And that's the mind. It is programmed to look for the worst case scenario. And this is what you've got to remember. It isn't necessarily real. It's what the mind does, right? And so what you've got to do is come back and remember that there's only this moment now. And so from this moment now, you're going to see things for how they are and not worse than they are, period. And you do that by asking yourself, number one, what is the story that I've made up or told myself about this situation and scenario? What are other possibilities? Because there's always more. And number three, coming back to this moment now, does it serve me in this moment right now to go off into a what if scenario and fantasize using my imagination in a negative, downward spiraling way when I don't actually know the true facts? And if the answer is no, it doesn't, then my suggestion is that you take your attention off that commentary immediately and you redirect it to something that is upward spiraling and expansive. And the fastest and most quickest way to do that is get into a state of appreciation. And how you do that is simple. Is you just choose 3 things that you are grateful for. And then you take those 3 things. So let's say I'm really grateful for the fact that I have an amazing business with some wonderful clients, and I have some expansive, wonderful times with them, and it's even shown me even more so in this period of time, like how well they're doing and how connected we feel, and that there's growth happening even though all this fear is going on. And I'm really, really grateful for that. The second part of it is, why are you grateful? So you find something you're grateful for, and then you go into why. And the reason for that is because when you focus on the why, what it does is it automatically shifts your state. It shifts your biological state. It shifts your vibration. It shifts you out of a state of feeling a bit in the doom and gloom into a more upward spiral in place. And that, my friend, is a much better place to be hanging out in, I promise you. And from there, what happens is we get to play big, we get to live life, we get to, even in these times, we get to choose to like move through this and become empowered, rather than feeling that we're stuck and lost and cornered and scared and fearful. We keep taking the actions that we've been asked to take, and then we look after our own minds. And if you make that a priority, I promise you that what will happen is you will learn some great things about yourself through this time. But you'll also learn that fear does not serve. It is false evidence appearing real, and it keeps you small, it keeps you limited, and it's pointless actually. It's going to just exhaust you and make you feel ill. So if there's an option out of this, then my suggestion is jump and start getting appreciative of all the things. You know, like what happened today to me was, I mean, I've got 3 teenagers, and most of you know, 3 teenage sons, and you know, they've come with their own needs and their own demands, and we're all in one house right now as everybody else is going through this, and sometimes that can be challenging, and they've all got different kind of things that they want me to be playing a part and role in. And this morning I caught the middle son helping my youngest son do his maths homework. Now that is unheard. I had to sneak around and take a little video. If they'd have seen me, they'd have probably been really, really angry, but it's unheard of. And in that moment I was like, wow, like look at that. That is a small little bit of something magical that's happening purely because we're in this time and place. That wouldn't have happened normally, because he wouldn't be at home right now, he'd be at school, and they wouldn't be helping each other. Now, it might be completely different tomorrow. They could be fighting again. Don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect household, but there was a little bit of magic there. And what I chose to do was focus on that, focus on how grateful that made me feel. And it gave me a little bit of like hope and light that, you know, these kids have got compassion, and they are able to communicate in a beautiful way when they want to, because quite often they're usually fighting, so don't get me wrong. So just a quick recap. Fear, false evidence appearing real. If you are in a state of fear, then you're in your head. You have gone into a future moment and you're using your imagination in a negative way, period. Right? 2, in order to combat fear, we need to ask ourselves a simple question. What meaning have we given this situation or thing, whatever it might be? Is it actually, are we seeing it as what it really is, or are we seeing it as worse than what it is? And 4, the antidote is, once we've asked ourselves that, is to get into a state of appreciation. So all you've got to do is find 3 things that you're appreciative of and focus on it. That's my son. I've just been praising him, and now I'm going to murder him. Anyway, guys, tomorrow we are going to focus on how to switch off stress hormone, cortisol. So I will look forward to diving into that tomorrow at 6 p.m. and that's the dog kicking off too. Have a beautiful evening, mwah, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.